More news. See what you made me do? I couldn't stay away. 26 January 2021. From USSA News. Democrat Chi-Com's move to ban Trump supporters from federal jobs or joining the military. This is a coup. 21st century style, a hostile takeover of the United States, hobbled by a radical treasonous party. This is by Jazz Shaw. Cancel culture has arrived in Congress in a big way. Well, to be fair, it's been there for a while now, but Florida Democratic Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy is really upping her game in this regard. New proposed legislation from Murphy would prevent anyone who participated in January protests and riot on Capitol Hill from being eligible for a security clearance. Further, she would impose a similar ban on anyone who participated in any Stop the Steal rally or anyone who knowingly engaged with QAnon. How do you knowingly engage with something that nobody but QAnon knows who it is? Is QAnon a person? Is QAnon a group of people? Nobody knows. Besides, all that QAnon stuff, it didn't amount to anything. Given that security clearance check is required for virtually every person applying for a federal job and many state or municipal jobs or enlistment in the military, Murphy would be banning an entire class of people from public service, even if they never engage in any violent activities. This is from Big League Politics. Murphy, who is a member of the House Armed Services Committee, has recently proposed a bill that would prevent members of the Stop the Steal movement, along with subscribers to QAnon, from being able to obtain security clearances. Security clearances are a necessity for Americans who wish to join the U.S. military and also a requirement to obtain a number of federal jobs. This bill would essentially bar any American that has rallied in support of President Trump post-election or publicly voiced concern about election fraud from being able to hold a job in the armed forces or any federal law enforcement agency. This proposal was initially reported at the Daily Beast. The legislation, titled the Security Clearance Improvement Act of 2021, requires applicants looking to obtain or renew their federal security clearances to disclose that they participated in the January 6th rally in Washington or another Stop the Steal event, or if they knowingly engage in activities conducted by an organization or movement that spreads conspiracy theories and false information about the U.S. government. This level of attempted government repression is breathtaking in its scope. As a rule, anyone who's convicted, and that's a key word, of having breached the Capitol building on January the 6th and committing acts of vandalism or attacks on law enforcement officers will likely disqualify themselves from obtaining a security clearance, and hence a federal job in most cases. The same is true for all serious offenses. Though you can generally receive a waiver for misdemeanors and minor violations, no new legislation would be needed to make that happen. But this bill is something entirely different. It would effectively criminalize every person who showed up for the rally and remained out in the street protesting. Worse, it would criminalize thought. This is exactly why the First Amendment was created in the first place. It wasn't for any other arbitrary, stupid bullshit thing that artists can come up with. No, the First Amendment specifically is to protect political speech. That's why it was created in the first damn place. The same would go for the hundreds of other rallies held across the nation in the preceding months. Further, depending on how the legislation is interpreted, if you ever engaged with QAnon believers on social media or other discussion groups, you could be similarly canceled from working in the public sphere. What Murphy is proposing here is nothing less than a huge raft of thought crimes that Americans could be punished for without ever having broken the law. This would be no different than a law seeking to restrict the employment opportunities of everyone who ever participated in a Black Lives Matter protest that devolved into rioting and looting, even if the person in question did not participate in the criminal activity that followed. No matter whether you agreed with the proponents of the Stop the Steal activity or not, protesting is still legal and constitutionally protected. That's something that the media reminds us of constantly when they refer to the BLM riot participants as mostly peaceful protesters. In a way, this author would almost want to see Murphy's bill passed and signed by Joe Biden just so we could break out the popcorn and watch it blow up in the courts. The courts are complicit. It's not going to blow up. If that failed to happen, and this sort of law was allowed to stand, you might as well pack up and move to another country because the United States Constitution would be effectively dead. No shit. Because the Supreme Court of the land refused to even see or hear any evidence. I don't have any evidence to the contrary that the Constitution is dead. You would have to prove it to me. From the Burning Platform, PBS top lawyer says government should build enlightenment camps and remove children from Trump-supporting homes. This is authored by Sarah A. Carter via sarahacarter.com. This is what the leftists, or liberals, along with those who support their agenda, think about Americans. It's in their own words. Believe them when they say it. Quote, Americans are so fucking dumb, end quote, said PBS principal counsel Michael Beller, who was chatting with one of Project Veritas' undercover self-described guerrilla journalists. You know most people are dumb, quote, end quote. Beller is just saying what I would hear over and over again in Washington, D.C. parties and pubs. He's not the exception, and his disdain for our nation makes my stomach turn because he and others like him are seizing power from the people every day. They hold positions of power that actually can affect our daily lives and that of our children. And to think, PBS is funded with our taxpayer dollars. Quote, kids who are growing up know nothing but Trump for 4 years. You've got to wonder what their Trump-supporting children, what they're going to be like, Beller told the undercover journalist. They'll, Trump supporters, be raising a generation of intolerant, horrible people, horrible kids, end quote. Beller suggests removing the children from parents who supported Trump and then sending them to enlightenment camps. Is Beller for real? This idea is similar to what is actually happening in China, as the Chinese Communist Party has been terrorizing and removing the Uyghur Muslim population to supposed re-education camps, the ones that Disney turns a blind eye to in their quest to make their movies. Beller needs to be first, Beller's not going to be fired from PBS. Number two, why would your daughter still watch PBS? There you go, she won't anymore, because it is actually absolutely intolerable. Oh, and Beller also said that, quote, even if Biden wins, we go for all the Republican voters. Homeland Security will take their children away. In quotations, folks, welcome to America's worst nightmare. Oh, and this is something from Beller, breaking at PBS. Principal counsel Michael Beller incites political violence and radical left-wing agenda. In quotations, this is from Michael Beller, Principal Counsel Michael Beller, his quote is, "Go to the White House and throw Molotov cocktails," quote, end quote. Quote, Michael Beller, Principal Counsel, "Even if Biden wins, we go for all the Republican voters. Homeland Security will take their children away," end quote. This is from James O'Keefe, published January 12, 2021. Do you think they're fucking around with you? All right, news out.